Welcome back, dear students. In today's session, let us discuss about the respiratory system of frog. All right. So here, firstly, let me tell you that frogs have the ability to breathe on land. Right. They can also breathe in water. Right. So further, the frog has three types of respiration which occurs in the land and in water. The frogs possess three types of respiration, dear students. Okay, let me tell you what are those three types of respiration here. See, when we consider the first type, it is referred to as cutaneous respiration. All right. So this type of respiration generally occurs with the help of skin. All right. And secondly, we have buccopharyngeal respiration. Okay. This type of respiration, dear students, occurs in the buccopharyngeal cavity. All right. Then one more type of respiration we have, that is pulmonary respiration. This type of respiration is probably seen occurring with the help of lungs. All right, let me repeat. The respiration in frogs, okay, occurs both on land as well as in water. So they are of three types. First one we have here is cutaneous respiration, which occurs through skin. Secondly, buccopharyngeal respiration occurs in the buccopharyngeal cavity. All right, that means buccal cavity and pharynx region, what we have, the cavity, in that the respiration occurs. We generally refer that to as buccopharyngeal cavity. All right, so the respiration occurring there is referred to as buccopharyngeal respiration. Then, dear students, the third type is pulmonary respiration. Pulmonary, here it is referring to lungs. So this type of respiration occurs in lungs. All right. Now, dear students, let me tell you few important aspects here. See, skin serves as accomplice, or it helps in respiration. That's first point, is that skin is a very important organ of respiration in frog. All right. Then during hibernation, I have already told you, hibernation is also referred to as winter sleep. Here, dear students, when we consider the winter sleep, all right, and estivation, that is the summer sleep. See here, in both these cases, that is when the metabolic and physiological activities of the frog get suspended. They burrow themselves under the soil to protect themselves from deep winters and deep summers. All right, that is extreme heat and extreme cold. All right. So with respect to this, let me tell you, during this time they respire through the moist skin, dear students. All right, note this point. Okay, so further, now this is what the cutaneous respiration. Let me tell you, first type of respiration generally occurs by skin. All right, and it plays an important role, especially during the winter sleep and the summer sleep. All right, so where the skin serves as the respiratory organ. All right. So when we, in fact, move to the second type of respiration, that is the buccopharyngeal respiration. Alright, we see that the respiration here takes place through buccopharyngeal cavity. Alright, so what is this cavity? See, in the buccal cavity, what we can say, the buccal cavity and the pharynx region. Alright, this cavity is present. Alright, so through this cavity the buccopharyngeal respiration occurs, dear students. Alright, so this we need to take into consideration as well. Okay, then let me tell you that in the buccal cavity there are moist mucous membranes. Alright, see, in the buccal cavity there is presence of moist mucous membranes. Alright, so these moist mucous membranes, alright, are richly supplied with blood capillaries. Okay, see, moist mucous membranes are very richly supplied with blood capillaries. So these blood capillaries which are present in the moist mucous membrane of the buccal cavity, alright, so these blood capillaries, alright, say they are richly supplied with blood capillaries. So these blood capillaries, rather, it absorbs oxygen, right, through a process called as diffusion. Alright, that is movement of molecules from the higher concentration to their lower concentration. Through this process the blood capillaries absorbs oxygen, or even they can absorb it by just contraction. Alright, there are two types of muscles they possess. One is sternohyals and they also have petrohyals. Right, so through these two muscles, sternohyals and petrohyals, through their contraction they bring about the respiration, dear students. Okay, let me repeat, the respiration which occurs in buccopharyngeal cavity is buccopharyngeal respiration. In the buccal cavity we find the presence of more and more blood capillaries. So these blood capillaries absorb the oxygen through the process called as diffusion. Alright, apart from this, to the contraction of the muscles which are present in the, what I can say, the frog, called as sterohyals and petrohyals, through their contraction the buccopharyngeal respiration occurs, dear students. Next, moving on to the pulmonary respiration. Alright, as I said, here pulmonary respiration occurs with the help of lungs. Alright, and we know that frogs have all these three types of respiration, but in our lungs, say for example, if we consider our lungs, alright, so below the lungs there is a presence of what we call, alright, diaphragm. This diaphragm, alright, which is important part of respiration in human beings, is absent. It is absent in case of frogs, but they have the presence of lungs, dear students. Now further, let me tell you, okay, now we understood that diaphragm does not have any relation with respiration here because it is completely absent. See, as we move on further, epithelial lining of alveoli, see, that is the outer covering of the alveoli, we call epithelial lining of alveoli. These are the basic units of lungs, dear students. Alveoli. Okay, in case of frog, we can find that, see, epithelial lining of alveoli of frogs facing the lung cavity. Towards the lung cavity, the alveoli which is facing, alright, will have, dear students, columnar and ciliated epithelium. Okay, there are two types of epithelium. One is the columnar, and the another one we have here is ciliated. So under this columnar and the ciliated epithelium, alright, we can find the alveoli where oxygen gets stored, dear students. Alright, so alveoli covering is columnar and ciliated, and there, we can find in the alveoli the storage of oxygen. Okay, remember as such. Further, let me tell you, during pulmonary respiration, in case of frogs, during pulmonary respiration when it occurs, alright, the mouth is closed. Mouth is always closed. Okay, rather we can say mouth remains closed. Okay, so this is one point as well. Dear students, in the water, when the frog is in the water, I told you that, already we have discussed about cutaneous respiration. Alright, the respiration which occurs in water is cutaneous respiration. Alright, see, in water there is respiration which is occurring through the skin. We call that type of respiration as cutaneous respiration, dear students. Okay, so what happens here? See, the dissolved oxygen, alright, is present in the water, we all know. So this dissolved oxygen which is present in the water is exchanged through the skin by diffusion. It is exchanged by skin of the frog through the process called as diffusion. So the movement of oxygen from higher concentration to the lower concentration. So in the body it requires oxygen, so it exchanges itself through the skin through cutaneous respiration from the water. And dear students, when we consider on land, so generally I told you that buccopharyngeal respiration occurs in the buccal cavity and the pharynx region. Okay, so the buccal cavity helps in respiration on land as well as the skin and also the lungs. So rather we can say the buccal cavity having the mucous membranes. Okay, this is the one, that is buccopharyngeal respiration. Through skin it is called cutaneous respiration, and through lungs it is called pulmonary respiration. All these three types of respiration can be seen on land, dear students. Further, let me tell you that the lungs here are a pair of, alright, the lungs are, two. Okay, so a pair of lungs which are present are elongated, and generally they are having, again, they are nothing but the pink colored sac like structures. Alright, they are pink colored sac like structures. So these pink colored sac like structures, are generally, dear students, lungs. Okay, they are the lungs. Okay, let me tell you, pair of lungs are present. So they are elongated, pink colored, alright, sac like structures. These, dear students, lungs, as I said you, for the storage of oxygen, they possess alveoli. Alright, they possess alveoli. Okay, so through the alveoli the oxygen is exchanged, from the lungs it passes on to the other body parts. Alright, so further, if I want to tell you that where lungs are situated, let me tell you that it is present in the upper part of the trunk region, right? Or rather we can say the thorax region of the frogs, all right? We call generally refer it as trunk there. So in the thorax we can find the lungs, all right? That is much upper part of thorax. See dear students, here the air, all right, enters through the nostrils. What are nostrils here? See, nostrils are the openings. I told you already when discussing the morphology, there are openings which are present, all right, above the mouth. Above the mouth. So, firstly, you remember the air enters through the nostrils, which is present above the mouth, and from the nostrils it passes on, all right, to the buccal cavity. Buccal cavity. Then from the buccal cavity, the air moves on to the lungs. This is how the movement of the oxygen can be seen with respect to the frog. All right. So remember, in water, skin acts as the respiratory organ. Okay, where dissolved oxygen moves from the water into the body through the skin, all right, by the process of diffusion. And dear students, on land also we discussed. So here lungs or skin or buccopharyngeal respiration, all right, through lungs pulmonary respiration, through skin cutaneous respiration, and through buccal cavity having the mucous membranes, all right, and the pharynx region, what we call buccopharyngeal respiration. All these three can be seen. So the air enters through the nostrils, all right. In the lungs I am speaking, in the pulmonary respiration, from the nostril the air enters on land and it moves to the buccal cavity, from the buccal cavity to the lungs. This is how the respiration occurs in frog, dear students. Dear students, next let us move on to the circulatory system of frog. So here when we consider the circulatory system of frog, let me tell you dear students that it is very well developed. All right, and it is closed type of circulatory system. So what do we mean by closed type of circulatory system? See dear students, see, when I am referring to the closed type of circulatory system, let me tell you that the blood flows inside the blood vessels, all right. So this is one important aspect. Okay, closed type here refers to the blood moving inside the blood vessels, that is the arteries, veins and capillaries, all right. Inside them the blood flows. So that can be seen here as well with respect to the frog. And further, dear students, see, let us discuss about the circulatory system. Okay, the circulatory system is also referred to as blood vascular system. All right. So here blood vascular system or the circulatory system of the frog. Okay, both we can refer. Here vascular means blood vascular. All right. It means to say that it is the blood is made up of the blood is moving inside the blood vessels. Remember this word, dear students. So here let me tell you that the blood vascular system is made up of the heart, blood vessels and thirdly the blood. Okay, there are three parts. The first part is called as the heart. So heart here is the pumping organ for the transportation of blood across the body. We have the blood vessels, all right, and the blood flows inside the blood vessel carrying the nutrients, oxygen as well. Okay, so the three structures you need to remember, that is the heart, blood vessels and the blood. Okay, let me give you few extra information here, dear students. See, the frog also has lymphatic system. All right. So what do we mean by lymphatic system here? See, generally the lymphatic system helps in providing the immunity. All right. It also has another type of body fluid called as the lymph. All right. And this lymph is flowing in the lymph channels. Okay, so this is the second important aspect you can remember, dear students. And furthermore, apart from the lymph channels and the lymph, we can also find the lymph nodes. So in the lymph nodes there is production of WBC as well, which helps in providing or conferring the immunity to the frog. All right. So other than the blood vascular system or the circulatory system, we can find lymphatic system as well in the frog, which is having the lymph channels and the lymph nodes. Further, dear students, let me tell you that the first pumping organ, what we refer it to as the heart, it is made up of muscles, so it is a muscular structure. See, let me say for example, in case of human beings, how we find that the heart is made up of cardiac muscles, in the similar manner here as well the heart is made up of muscles, hence it is a muscular structure. So where do we find the location of heart in the body of frog? So it is situated or located in the upper part of the body cavity. All right. So this you need to remember, dear students. So where is heart is located? Upper part of the body cavity, we can find the location of the heart. Further, let me tell you that the heart is made up of three chambers. Three chambers are present in the heart. Okay. So, as we can find four chambers in the human being, that is two auricles or atria and two ventricles, right? Here we could find only three chambers, and these three chambers are two atria or two auricles, rather we can say, and one ventricle can be seen. All right. See, we can find in the heart of frog only three chambers. Okay, two auricles and one ventricle. All right. This is ventricle, this is auricles. Okay. So hence it is what? Three chambered heart, dear students. Furthermore, let me tell you that the heart is covered by a membrane here. The heart is covered by a membrane. The membrane here is called to as pericardium. All right. So this pericardium protects the heart from friction and also from shocks. It has so many functions in the frog. All right. Further, dear students, a triangular structure. All right. A triangular structure is associated with the circulatory system of frog called as sinus venosus. All right. this sinus venosus functioning is that it receives the blood, it receives the blood through major veins. Alright, the major veins here are referred to as vena cava. Alright, so vena cava are these are the major veins, dear students. From these major veins from the body, okay, so from the major veins called vena cava, all the blood from the body will be transported to the sinus venosus, and further the sinus venosus is connected or it is joining to the right atrium. It joins to the right atrium. Remember, let me repeat once more. There is a triangular structure called sinus venosus which can be present associated with the circulatory system of frog. So the functioning of sinus venosus is that it receives the blood from all the body parts through the major veins called vena cava, and further it joins to the right atrium. Fine. And let me also tell you, dear students, that this sinus venosus is not only present in the frog, okay, it can also be seen associated with the fishes or pisces, right? Then we can also find in many other amphibians as well. And to go with that, even few reptiles also have the sinus venosus which perform the function of receiving the blood from the body through the major veins called vena cava. Okay, remember this. So fishes, other amphibians other than the frog as well as the reptiles possess the sinus venosus. Further, dear students, let me tell you that the left auricle, now right auricle, you know, the sinus venosus joins, and then we have one more auricle, that is the left auricle. So this is much smaller when compared to the right auricle. And what is its role? And this left auricle receives the oxygenated blood, dear students. Oxygenated blood. From where this receives the oxygenated blood? After the purification of deoxygenated blood in the lungs. Alright? From there, after purification, now the blood will become pure. The blood will be filled with oxygen. It becomes oxygenated blood. This oxygenated blood, dear students, will be received by left auricle from the lungs. Alright? And from the lungs it is receiving it through what? Pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins. From the pulmonary veins, the oxygenated blood from the lungs will come and deposit into the left auricle. Remember this, dear students. Okay. Then further, let me tell you that both the auricles, that is both the auricles or the atria, that is the left auricle as well as the right auricle, they both open into the ventricles only. They open into ventricles. Rather, one ventricle is present, right? So they open into the ventricle through a common opening is present for both these auricles, left auricle as well as right auricle. See, let me remind you that I had said the sinus venosus which collects the blood from the body through major veins called vena cava deposits its blood into the right atrium, right to the right atrium. Then further, left atrium or left auricle receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs, and both are opening commonly, alright, into a ventricle through an opening called auriculoventricular opening. Auriculoventricular opening. All right. So remember this, dear students. All right. See, the right auricle receives the, in fact, blood from the what we can say the sinus venosus, and left auricle receives the oxygenated blood from the lungs. Both will open into the ventricle through a opening called auriculoventricular opening. Further, dear students, let me tell you that now the ventricle will open into conus arteriosus. All right, it will open into conus arteriosus, which is present on the ventral side of the heart. It is present on the ventral side of heart. All right. So the ventricles are opening into a structure called, see, the ventricles are joined by both the right auricle and the left auricle. All right. So both will join the ventricle, and ventricle is further joining a structure called conus arteriosus, which is present on the ventral. Ventral means the front portion of the heart. Ventral here refers to the front portion of the heart. So both right and left auricle are joining the conus arteriosus. And further, dear students, from conus arteriosus, the blood is circulated to different parts of the arterial system. All right, remember that. So blood is circulated to different parts of the body. It is circulated to different parts of the body, dear students. Okay, see, the left and right auricle are joining the ventricle. The ventricle is joining the conus arteriosus. From the conus arteriosus, the oxygenated blood, all right, oxygenated it is, right, will be circulated or passed on to the different body parts through arteries. All right, through what? Arteries, remember. All right, so arteries will supply here the oxygenated blood, dear students. Okay, then further, this is how the circulation occurs in case of frog. And further, let me tell you, dear students, that the veins which are present, okay, these veins collect the blood. All right, they collect the blood from different parts of the body again. All right, from different parts of the body. All right, these veins are collecting blood again from the different parts of the body, and further it is transported to the heart. All right, through the venous system. All right, through the venous system. That is, I said you, vena cava takes out all the deoxygenated blood from the body to the heart, where it gets oxygenated and supplied to the body through the arterial system. So venous system collects the deoxygenated blood, whereas deoxygenated blood is collected by the venous system, whereas the arterial system is important in the collection of the oxygenated blood, right? So remember, these are few important aspects you need to remember with respect to how the circulation occurs in the frog, dear students. And there is one special venous connection. Okay, this is a special venous connection which we can find between, all right. So this special venous connection is present between liver and intestine. All right, liver and intestine in frog. All right, as well in humans also we can find, in frog also we find it. That special venous connection is called as, between the liver and intestine, as hepatic portal system. Remember dear students, okay, this system is called as hepatic portal system, alright, which is a special venous connection between the liver and the intestine, alright. And there is also one more point you need to remember, that venous connection between, alright, the lower part of the body and kidney, the extreme lower part of the body, and kidney is referred to as, just generally we call it to as renal portal system. Renal is indicating here kidney, okay. See, hepatic portal system helps in the, the connection, alright, venous connection is there between the liver and intestine, that is called hepatic portal system. It connects the liver with intestine and the blood system, circulatory system, and venous connection is also present between lower part of the body and the kidney, alright. So this system is called as renal portal system, dear students. Further, dear students, let us discuss that the blood of the frog is composed of, alright, two important components. The first component is the plasma and the second component are the cells, alright. So these are the two components of the blood of frog, alright. So plasma is the fluid part, alright, and cells are the other, the parts which help in so many functions of carrying of the respiratory gases, like, and also in the immunity. So especially the blood cells are of two types, okay. So that is RBCs, which are also referred to as erythrocytes, alright. And secondly, we have WBCs, which are also called as leukocytes, okay. Then apart from the erythrocytes and leukocytes, we also have platelets, okay. So these are the three blood cells which we can find with respect to the blood cells of the frog, alright. So here one contrasting aspect you can find is that the RBCs, or the red blood corpuscles, what you say, or erythrocytes, what in general we refer it to as, are nucleated, dear students. They are nucleated. That means there is presence of nucleus in the RBCs even in after complete growth of the RBC cells. So that the same we cannot find in case of humans. No, we already know that, alright, the RBCs are fully grown RBCs are enucleated in case of human beings, right. So remember that point as well, okay. And here in case of RBC it is nucleated, and they contain, further let me tell you that these, alright, RBC cells of the frog, they contain a red colored pigment called as hemoglobin, alright. The red colored pigment is called as what? Hemoglobin. Remember that, dear students, alright. So in fact, among all the organisms, other vertebrates, if you find, the largest RBCs can be seen in the amphibians, to which amphibians class to which the frog also belongs to, alright. The largest RBCs are seen in amphibians. Remember that, dear students, alright. And I had told you also about one more body fluid here which is present, that is called as the lymph, right. See, lymph is bit different from the blood, Why? Because in the lymph, alright, we don't find here as well few proteins which are present in the blood are absent. Okay, to go with that, even RBCs, that is red blood corpuscles, are also absent. Alright, dear students. So these are few important aspects with respect to the lymph. Then further, dear students, let us understand what is the role of blood here. Alright, the blood helps in, alright, carrying of nutrition. So it carries nutrients and supplies to the different parts of the body. Alright, supplies to the body. Supplies to different parts of the body. Alright, that is the first function you can remember. And also it helps in the transportation of the respiratory gases. That is, we know that oxygen is required for metabolic activities of the body, so it is supplied by the blood, as well as it carries out the carbon dioxide from the body after the metabolic reactions and deposits in the heart, from where it is sent to the lungs and eliminated outside the body. Alright, and also blood helps in the transportation of water to the respective sites during circulation. The major functions are, it transports the nutrients to various parts of the body, as well as it helps in the transportation of oxygen and carbon dioxide, which are respiratory gases, and it supplies the water to the different sites during the circulation. See here how the circulation is achieved, dear students. The circulation is achieved here. Circulation of blood is achieved by the pumping action of heart, by the pumping action of heart. Alright, so when the heart pumps, alright, when heart contracts and relaxes, that's where the blood is pumped, and the blood is again the deoxygenated blood is again received by the heart. Alright, so the pumping action of muscular heart is very essential for the circulation of blood. So heart of frog is myogenic. That means the contractions of heart, myogenic here refers to the contractions of heart functioning, that is contractions occur from the heart itself, they originate from the heart itself. It is generally not majorly to the brain, it is from the heart itself, the contractions of heart will occur, and that's why it is called as myogenic heart. And heart rate, if we consider of the frog, alright, when we consider the heart rate of frog, it is approximately, dear students, 64 times, alright, it beats per minute, alright, which means to say in each second, per second if we consider, so the heart beats for, it requires 0.9 seconds per beat. Alright, so remember, these are the important aspects with respect to the circulatory system of frog. So this ends the class. Thank you very much.